So I've always been the type of person who could study anywhere. Like in high school, I would take the bus to go to school. And while all the students around me were like listening to music and waking up on the bus on the way to school, I would be there like reading my textbook and like studying. And there've been many periods of my life where I would literally wake up and before my brain even registered that I was awake, I would be on my phone like reading the textbook, studying. And it was always very efficient. Like I would get so much done in those like periods of like studying in random places. See, I've lived that life of like studying literally anywhere. Just like as long as it's a location, I'll study there. But I've also tried optimizing my workspace, like improving my desk and how I studying in different locations, just experimenting with many different things. And I've found that, yeah, a lot of the time, it is good to be able to study everywhere. That's a really good, important thing to have. But also you can optimize your workspace and you can make it so you're much more alert, your focus is way better, and you just get more done. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you some different things you can do to really optimize your workspace and find the best environment that you can get the most output done. But here's the problem. A lot of guys will use this as an excuse. They'll like, if they don't have the perfect environment, they like will use it as an excuse to not study. Like, oh man, my favorite cafe is closed right now, so guess I can't study now. Guess I'm gonna have to play video games all night. Like they'll use it as an excuse to like not study. So as long as you're not using it as an excuse, then improving your workspace and your environment will improve your output, will make you more effective. Like literally a switch in environment can like 5 times your output, even 10 times your output. I'll explain that in a bit. So first of all, how do you find the exact environment to study best in? So I think the biggest factor is distractions. So I've discovered that there's 2 types of distractions. There's inner distractions and there's like outer distractions. So for me, at home, the biggest distractions are like inner distractions. So for example, like I'll be sitting down working and then my brain will go like, oh bro, let's play some video games right about now. Let's walk around the house and bounce a ball for no reason for 30 minutes. Like when I'm at home, the distractions are like inner. It's my brain like trying to pull me and like go on my phone and do a bunch of random stuff. But when I'm in public, like in the library, the distractions are all outer. My mind's not gonna go like, oh, let's watch some porn right now, bro. Like when I'm in a library. But like, I'm gonna get distracted by like people around me. Like people walking, people speaking. So the distraction is more outer. So when you're considering the environment to work in, you gotta consider the distractions. So a library is great because there's like people keeping you accountable and you're not getting distracted by your inner thoughts and stuff. But there can still be a lot going on around you. For example, if it's really noisy, like many guys like to study in a cafe, but it can be really noisy. There can be people speaking, and if there's people speaking near you, you're gonna get distracted listening to them, and you're not gonna be able to focus on your study. So yeah, a couple tips on that. For the sounds, you can block your ears off with like pink noise or brown noise to keep your ears like blocked and busy. And in terms of like stuff going on in your peripheral vision, because if there's stuff going on in your peripheral vision, you're not going to be able to focus. So what I like to do is I just find a corner of the library that's like facing a wall. So there's nothing going on in my peripheral vision. Or I'll like wear a hat, like a hat like this, which will focus my vision. I explain this a lot in some of my other videos. Yeah, so the environment matters. Like many periods of my life, my inner distractions at home were so strong that literally just going to a library like 5 times my output. So if you're seriously struggling in one location, switching your location could like immediately 5 times your output. Just like that. But again, you have to make sure you're not using it as like an excuse. Like, oh man, I can't study right now because I gotta be at a library. I gotta have the perfect conditions. So yeah, ideally, you would be able to study in many different locations. But switching locations could seriously improve your ability to study. So that's the first thing. Which environment do you study in? One more thing on this, by the way, there's this concept called adventure studying, which is basically where you go to a new place every time and study in a new location. Again, this can be used as like an excuse to not study. It's like, oh man, I gotta go on this adventure before I study. It's like adding a bunch of conditions to your study session. Like, oh, I can't study till I've got coffee and I'm at this new location and, you know, I'm feeling good. So use it as a tool to improve your output rather than an excuse to not study. But anyway, adventure studying, so what it is, it's like you go to a new location. Like if you've never seen my videos before, you'll notice that this recording room I'm in I've never had it in any of my old videos. Cause like I wanted to try this new recording room for the first time. So it can be good to like try new locations. But in the end, I think like the best thing is to experiment and find the best location that you will turn up to every day. Because you wanna make it a habit. You wanna make it a habit to go to the same location every day, do the same thing every day. And that can be anywhere. But once you've found your ideal like workspace environment, there are many things you can do to actually improve that workspace environment, to immediately improve how alert you are, how focused you are, and just your output ability. So the first thing I can tell you is the higher your screen is, the more alert you will be. So ideally, you want your screen to be either eye level or higher. Like if you're looking up, that's when you're most alert. So that can be very tough because many guys, they use like a laptop. And so, you know, when you're on a laptop, you're looking down. So it can be tough. Like you don't want to go to the library and bring like a stack of books and be that guy who's like got a stack of books with his laptop on the top or something. But if you're at home, like my desk at home, I just stack my monitor on top of a bunch of books. Yeah, that's a concept I learned from the scientist Andrew Huberman. Basically, if your vision is looking up, you're going to be more alert. If it's looking down, you're going to be like more tired. And a quick bonus tip on this actually, to immediately improve how alert you are, you just want to look up really high like this. Just do that for a couple seconds like right now, and like, oh, I feel it right now. Like you'll immediately get like a boost in alertness and you'll just feel much more alert. Or you can even like squint at the thing you're looking at. If you squint, it'll like put your focus into place and you will just immediately be more alert. So you can do that for a quick power up. That's just a bonus tip. The next thing that can improve your workspace is taking advantage of light. So again, I learned this from the scientist Andrew Huberman. Basically, in the first 7 hours of the day, this is called phase 1. In the first 7 hours of the day, you want as much light as possible in your workspace. Like you want light from above, from around you. You want as much light as possible. Because not only will this make you more alert during that first phase of the day, but it will make you more alert later in the day as well. Like, oh, so much of my life, I would like study in the morning, but I'd be in complete darkness. Like the blinds would be closed, the lights would be off. And as soon as I started trying to actually, turn on all the lights and have more brightness or go to a location that was more bright, I noticed immediately I was like much more alert, feeling much more good, much more focused. So yeah, give this a try. As much light as possible. Ideally light from above. I know it can be very difficult in like certain environments. Like this room I'm in has 0 light except for like the overhead lights. But yeah, you like try to take advantage of light as much as possible. For me, this was a game changer, huge. In the first 7 hours of the day, getting more light. Okay, and related to this, there's an interesting concept called the cathedral effect. So, you know what a cathedral is, right? A cathedral is like a room with like a really high ceiling. When you're in a room with a really high ceiling, basically it makes you more creative. So if you're doing creative work, you want to go to a room, if you want to be more creative when you're doing creative work, you want to go to a room that has a really high ceiling because that will just make you feel more creative. But if you're trying to do more like analytical work, like maybe like maths or like physics or something, you want the opposite. You want a room with like a low ceiling, or you even want to wear a hat to like keep your like vision down. I don't know like the science behind why this happens, but like I've also realized that a lot of the scripts I wrote for these videos, I did in this library near my house that has like a huge ceiling. Something about it just unlocks like your creative thinking, your creative ability. So you might be thinking like,
oh bro, these like such tiny fixes, they're not going to make much of a difference to my focus.
You're saying if I change the angle of my screen slightly, I'm going to be more alert? Well, here's the thing. Some people are going to find huge changes to their output, to their motivation, simply by doing one of these things. Like that screen level tip that I gave earlier literally makes me so much more alert. So you've got to try these out to see if you're the type of person who's going to get seriously, like who's going to find a lot of benefit in doing one of these things. But also, if doing one of these things only improves your output, say like 10%, okay, that's not going to be much. But imagine if every study session you had a 10% improvement over the course of like a 4-year degree. That could be the difference between graduating with an A and graduating with a B. So like even doing one tip and just applying it to every study session, the benefits will compound over time. So like these tips might seem tiny, but if you apply them over time to every study session, you're gonna see a compounding huge amount of benefits in the long run. But like I said earlier, don't use this as like an excuse to not do your work. Like, oh bro, I can't do work right now because my screen is not 33.5 degrees from the northeastern latitude. Yeah, so don't use this as an excuse to not do the work. Like literally, you could get a lot of stuff done just lying in bed. Like I'm not even kidding. Like I've done so much study just lying in bed on my phone, reading the lecture notes on my phone, reading the textbook on my phone. So yeah, you don't need ideal conditions. But if you're making it a habit to do the work every single day, then it's good to bring these tips to your every study session because the results will compound over time. Thanks for watching.